Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 40th episode of Talk to the Expert series, organized by the Spectrum-Autism team. Hi, my name is Shivali, and I shall be your host for tonight. The theme of this session is enhancing dignity, and the guest who is gracing this episode is Dr. Sushma Nagarkar. She is a doctorate in special education, a technical consultant, a parent advocate, and an avid tracker. And she is here with us all the way from the US. And I welcome Dr. Sushma on this episode of Talk to the Expert series. Hi, good morning for you.
Good evening for you, Shivali, and thank you.
How have you been? How was the week?
It's been good. It's been really busy, and I don't live here permanently, but so being here is different, but it's been very, it's enhancing my life. Let me put it that way.
Beautiful. So I want to tell the audience, though you would have read the introduction in the flyer that we shared earlier, that she's the founder of Yash Charitable Trust. And she is here and she is an autism parent as well. And the most important bit is that she is here to share her experience and insights with all of us. And for that, I would like to first thank you. And then I would like to invite you to share your journey from being a special educator, and you've been a mountaineer, you've been tracking, you somebody who's very very passionate about it. So let us know about the Sushma before the parent Sushma, of course.
That would take a couple of hours, Shivali. But yes, I was and still continue to be extremely fond of the mountains, extremely fond of trekking right now, because I have other responsibilities. Mountaineering took a back seat. But it's all part of the same journey, if you will, because it's a journey of, for me, it was a journey of self discovery when I started mountaineering. And when, as you go into the field and special education happened to fall in my lap, it became a journey of discovering, what diversity means to me personally, how one can include sort of this broader spectrum of people out there who are wonderful people, just have
Mhm.
support needs,
Yeah.
into the main fold. And so the journey sort of widened, if you will, into a different direction. I still trek. It's my go to for my own mental health. Because I too, as a parent and as a professional, do need to take a break.
Mhm.
And so the trekking, because the phone doesn't work, gives me an opportunity to take that break. And it's not only because the phone doesn't work, it's just that I choose to do it. And it's working fine. And it helps me rejuvenate, it helps me connect back to myself,
Yeah.
connect more with the universe, and get back to the business of living life to its fullest in whatever
Wow.
capacity.
Wow, as a coach, this is music to my ears, because we end up telling everybody. Of course, people are trying to make the best of their own situations, but a lot of times we tend to overlook ourselves and overlook the importance of spending time with yourself and connecting with the universe, like you said. So, from being a special educator to establishing something like Yash Charitable Trust, please take us through the journey and your journey as an autism parent.
So, my journey as an autism parent, or parent of Arti is her name.
Mm.
She's a wonderful adult now and has been a wonderful child and has taught me through the journey what is really important in life and continues to teach me that. Her wants and needs are very few, but her wants and needs have to do with love and respect and dignity. And giving that to others, giving compassion, being compassionate is who she is. And she just shows me that those are the most important things in life. Now,
Mm.
she may, because she has autism, she has limited language in the larger sense of the word. But there's a lot of, behaviors, there's a lot of emotions, there's all of that that comes through that lets me know this, that these are the things that one really needs to focus on. And
Mhm.
so my journey as a parent started much earlier, as with many other parents who have similar. She's in her 30s now,
Mhm.
and as with many other parents who've had children who are now adults, we sort of floundered our way through what we considered was best practice or in the best interest of our children. We've made mistakes, but the heart has always been in it, is how do I help my daughter? How do I help her to become herself and be who she is and enjoy her life? And that's always been the goal. So that journey began, and then I was also professionally working in the US in the school system as a psychologist. My frustration was that even though, even in the US, I'm saying this publicly, so I hope it's okay, but even in the US, when children exit the school system, there is kind of I can't call it a vacuum in the US, but there's just a lot of hoops that one has to jump through, and then one has to find, if the person chooses to work, then find something that's appropriate work wise, which is not always there. And so, it was very clear to me as I was doing my work in the school system. I used to work from kindergarten to high school, supporting children in schools. And it was very clear that in adulthood is where the rubber hits the road, and where we really need more and more and more support for young adults who are exiting a virtually sheltered environment and then trying to find themselves. Now, neurotypicals, as we call people without disability, also have these struggles.
Yes.
And so those struggles become even more potent or even more
Prominent.
important,
Yeah.
yeah, prominent and important
Mm.
to overcome for persons who need added support, such as persons with autism.
Mm. Mm.
And so that was kind of the focus area. And then the other piece of this was that even though we had gone to the US, my heart was in India. And every time I bring Aarti back or brought Aarti back to India back then, it was like she fit in very easily.
Mm.
She talked the language of the people around her, even though it was broken Marathi or broken Kannada at that time or broken
Mm.
Hindi. Um, she was very keen to fit in.
Mm.
So we
Mm.
decided to take the plunge. A lot of people found it stupid. I mean, thought I was crazy and I was subjecting Aarti to this
Mm.
confusion and chaos, which is India. But I said, no, you know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try it.
Mm. Mm.
And if it doesn't work, we have an option to come back to the US. But let's try it. So we came to India in 2013, Aarti and myself, and I think we had 4 bags or 3 bags, I can't remember. We had a home there, we had family there, so that was easy. And we began Yash Charitable Trust in 2014. And the whole focus of Yash Charitable Trust, and continues to date, is that giving adults the opportunity or the ways to live a life of dignity and self respect in the
Mm.
community of their choice.
Yeah.
And I underline the word their choice, because that's really important.
Important. Yeah.
And that's the work we do, is towards fulfilling this vision.
Yeah. So you've been a psychologist, like you said, and when you identified or when Aarti was diagnosed that she is on the spectrum, most parents, even till date, when we get to know that our child is on spectrum, our response like is first is denial, non-acceptance, and some fortunate ones will go through the journey and they will start accepting the child and the fact that the child is on spectrum would be able to move faster if the acceptance is there. But from the moment there is diagnosis till there is acceptance, the journey can be any number of years,
Very long.
and it can be very taxing also, both sides. So how has been your experience about it?
Um, so when Aarti was born, she was born, and those days they she had fetal distress, so it was an
Oh.
emergency
Mm.
C-section that happened.
Mm.
She was extremely tiny at birth, so in the first few weeks and first few months of her life, it was just keeping her physically safe,
Mm.
physically healthy. She was very tiny and she had a hole in the heart.
Mm.
So a lot of that initial phase went into just keeping her physically healthy.
Yeah.
Yes, at the time of when she was about 3 months, I realized that she's not developing appropriately, and it was nothing, Shivali, to do with my profession. It was a
Mm-hmm.
mother's instinct. It was just a mother's instinct. And at that point, knowing that she was developmentally delayed, which I thought she was as a mother, I went into, okay, what can I do for her? So there was no feeling of, oh my God, what will happen now? It was more practical, which I've always been, very practical and pragmatic. And so it was more like, what can I do to help her?
Mm-hmm.
And so enrolling her in physiotherapy, enrolling her in occupational therapy when the time was right, enrolling her in speech therapy, all of these things happened because of the what I perceived as delayed development. And it was true. The doctors confirmed this, but when I went to the doctor, he told me, "You're just being a neurotic mom." So I never went back to that doctor because I knew I was being a neurotic. I was worrying and wanting to do the right thing, but it wasn't just about being a neurotic mom. The
Yeah.
doctor did not really tell me what I needed to know, which is that this is developmental delay. Please intervene. I did it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would at that time fault, the training that regular pediatricians have had in recognizing these things. I think they need to be more, or needed to be back then, I correct myself, more cognizant of these things. So that began the journey. There was no uh, why me.
Mm.
Again, I'm very practical. The pragmatic person that I am overcomes the questioning or the guilt or the, yes, there's anxiety, and anxiety is healthy.
Mm.
And anxiety leads you to take action, and that's exactly what I did, which was
Mm.
take action and try to help her and intervene to the best of my ability, given the situation, given everything that, where we lived and all of that. But it was a journey of, she needs some support, and it's our duty and responsibility to give that to her.
Mm. Mm.
And yes, there was frustration along the way. There is, a little bit of, oh my God, I'm so tired along the way. All of that creeps in, and it's okay. It's
Mm.
okay.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to beat myself up for being human. I'm not going to
Mm.
beat myself up for crying. It's a normal human, I am who I am. I'm doing the best I can. The
Mm.
universe will take care of her beyond me. That has
Wow.
always been my attitude and continues to be so. And
Super.
just to add on one more thing, I meet a lot of parents, and I completely understand them and their journey and empathize with them. At the end of the day, we can only do what we can do. At the end of the day, we have to believe in something beyond ourselves that's going to take care of our children. And I believe that. You know, Arti now has physical health issues, and I'm dealing with them, and she's dealing with them. It's hard
Mm.
for her, but she's a trooper, and she's shown me that she can be really resilient and just wants to be and give back to the world, the community.
Wow. So this theme, the theme of this session, that how we call it, enhancing dignity, that is the tagline also for your Cafe Open, right? So please tell us, what do you do under Yash Charitable Trust, and what is Cafe Open all about?
So, as I mentioned earlier, Shivali, our whole vision is that adults with these disabilities get an opportunity to live and work in the community the way they want to. And so, part of enhancing their dignity is to even talk to them about what they want and value what they want.
Yeah.
Now, Arti, to give you an example, loves music and loves to sing. If you ask her, what do you want to do? She'll tell you, I want to sing on Broadway, or I want to sing on stage.
Mm.
Now, that's not going to be a real situation in her life. But every opportunity that she gets, and if she wants to do it, she sings. And she
Mm.
sings on stage and she enjoys it. But that is what is important to her. And in fact, music for her also, she has recognized over the years, is her own way of dealing with the world that she doesn't always get. So, for persons with autism, the world is black and white. There are no grays. There's a lot of gray in our world. So, when she's trying to understand all of these nuances of her social life, it's tiring. It becomes exhausting after a while because she has a very long work day, and so music is her go to for even just being by herself and just having a good time without any expectations of any social behavior. And it's a private event. And if I walk into her room, she'll tell me, go out of here. So I do. Anyway,
Mm.
to come back to the point, so Yash Charitable Trust has three sort of values that we are very, very sort of, they're very important to us. One is accepting a person, and this is not only a person with disability, it's accepting a person for who he or she is, enhancing, empowering them at whatever level. So we have some assistants who work with us who, unfortunately, due to their circumstances, have not been able to complete any formal school education. So right now we are helping them, married young women, who to complete their NIOS. So again, empowering them to sort of improve their own lives. And then the last is including. So inclusion is the third value. And everything we do is under this, is guided by this framework of acceptance, which includes respect for the other, empowering them to whichever way we can, and then including them in everything. So, our team, our work, everything is inclusive. Our team members with disabilities in our supported employment, which is Cafe Arpan as well as Arpan Food Services, they're part of the team. It's not that they are, yes, they need more support, yes, they might need different equipment to do the work, but they are also considered part of the team. They're treated the same way. Everyone does everything, everyone is part of everything, and that's how we work. Our skill development center has been set up to help individuals who want to continue and get employed or some kind of livelihood opportunity. So, at the Skill Development Center, for adults who have not had the interventions or the training required to be sort of even social, have the social skills required of a job, we focus on some of those soft skills as well as hard skills, which we have found for us. F&B is where we go for our hard skills training. So we provide those opportunities as well. And then, apart from all of this, through our adult support kendra, as we grow into adulthood, as I said earlier, we all have our challenges, our problems, our difficulties. It may be love life related, it may be I don't have friends related, it may be some other something else. And adults with disabilities also have similar humps that they have to overcome. And so the Adult Support Kendra provides counseling support, it provides consultation to parents, it provides workshops, training, seminars, come what may. Advocacy, a big part of our work is advocacy. And so we do all of these things to help the individual uh, become a successful, happy adult, and the family
Wow,
to be a successful, happy family unit, if they're
beautiful.
not so already, if they're not so already.
Okay. So, does this also involve placement of those who are in a position to, upskill themselves and then move on?
We would love to have more conversations with the community. We do have an employment support services initiative. The important thing in this and what guides us is to take the strength. So, YCT, as I failed to mention, is a strength based approach. So, we take the strengths that our individuals have and then we try and match them to openings that come our way in the community. And there may be areas that they need a little bit more training on, and we try and provide that training or set it up for them. So yes, it does involve, where we find opportunities. We find that the adult is ready and the adult wants to do it. We absolutely look for opportunities to take to help adults get employed elsewhere. The problem is that there are a lot of, and our employment support services coordinator has been, constantly on the go looking for these opportunities. There's a lot of awareness, sensitization that needs to happen in the community, and there needs to be this sort of don't fear persons with significant disabilities. Understand there's that fear of what if, which creeps in, but we are there to support the employer as well as the employee. And so we would love to be able to have more of these opportunities come our way. But we do, again, the best, and we're working hard towards finding these slots.
So, like you said, sensitizing the employer. Now, employer can be anybody. It can be somebody with disability or somebody who is neurotypical who have their own mental disabilities some certain times, and being judgmental or having a preconceived notion about a person with disability means whatever, however that we want to define that. So those are also sort of disabilities that do not allow you to look beyond the obvious disabilities, as we may call them. um, Now, when you were talking about your journey and how you identified when Aarti was diagnosed, and you were trying to do, despite the doctors not being very supportive in the process of identification and helping Aarti, and you also as a new parent, and you had your own journey. And today, when we interact with a lot of parents, despite when 30 years ago there probably was not so much of awareness, and when we speak to senior parents, they tell us that we were like trying to find things on our own, and there was not much available in terms of medical help, or even information in books was very very rare to find. Vis-a-vis today, when you do a search, less than a second you get millions of results on anything that you want to search. Now there's an information overload that we are finding, that there's so much which is there, and the parents now also go through the cycle of denial, non acceptance, guilt, why me, victim. And sometimes we have observed, perceived, and parents also sometimes have shared that either they feel guilty about giving birth to a child with certain disorders, or sometimes unknowingly they make the child, the young adult, feel guilty about them having certain difficulties. So, because you are somebody who is also counseling parents, and like you said, that we, in case if they're not already happy families, we work towards making them happier. So, what would be your say on this?
Um, you know, there are components, yes, a man and a wife, husband and wife, whoever these days actually come together because they want to have a child, right? Now, there are components of this that are within our control, which is right now to seek out the best evidence, the best support, the best way to do this. And I take this gender neutrally. So, what is the best case scenario for us as two partners who want to have a baby and bring up a baby? There are factors that we take. We take informed, so we inform ourselves, as you said, information overload, and we decide how we want to go about it, and we do that. Now, there are other factors here that are not in our control. And that is something that we really have to, we can't be in control of everything that happens. And, recognizing this, and I think for me personally, it was my years of wilderness I can't call it exploration, but going off into the mountains. That came back to me very, very clearly that I'm just a speck, as even as smaller than a speck. I don't know what the smallest word for that would be, but just a smaller speck. And I really don't have a lot of to say in the entire process of our universe, of what's beyond us. So we have to go into these decisions with that knowledge that we can do what we can do. We have to, in this case, take the best advice if it comes to that, but let it go. We have to learn to let it go. And that is what is critical. And I find that that is, when I talk to parents like this, is so what? What is the worst case scenario? and I hate to say it so bluntly, but you are going to pass away. You have done everything you can to make your child's life comfortable for them, secure, safe. Let it go. And that is exactly what is important for us to imbibe. So in Arti's case, for example, I mean, all I can do is go to the best doctors that I know of, help her physically to stay healthy and to stay safe, try and help her understand the need to do this. And then I have to say, this is what I can do. That's it. So there is no guilt as such. It is the focus on being a parent, my responsibility, but my responsibility also is to hear her, is to listen to her, is to listen to what she's telling me and not take all the decisions for her. And I really don't do that, which, even though, I mean, traditionally, Aarti has got a 50, 55 IQ on an IQ test, which, by the way, I don't believe any IQ test measures what people with autism really are about. But she is a thinking person. She knows what she wants. She knows what her body is telling her. So let me not force her to eat something because it's healthy for her. Her body is probably saying, no, this doesn't agree with me. And let me listen to that. So we have to be a little more. I know the anxiety drives a lot of us to say, no, no, I know better than you, or I know what's healthy for you, or I know what you should be doing. But listen to them as they become, as they tell us what they want to tell us. There is wisdom in that. There is wisdom in that. And so there is no room for the guilt. It is a journey. It is a journey of unfolding of the relationship. It's a journey that needs to be governed by, I have this much to do. This is my dharma, if you will, and this is what I am here to do: is to support and love um, my son or daughter. I hope I've answered your question because I went off into a tangent.
No, you actually made a lot of sense because when most of us start taking decision on somebody else's behalf and we feel that we are responsible for that person, in a way, yes, as parents, we are responsible for our children. But when they start telling you what they believe, what they think, so like you said, that it's important to listen to them. Some of the young adults or autistic kids who are non-verbal, they have their own way of expression. So a parent would know when the child is happy, when the child is not happy, what he or she is liking, what he or she doesn't like. So being there, listening to them, I think is much more important than worrying about that I am responsible and I am the one who has to take all decisions. So not really. So take a step back and maybe just be observant. Yeah. Beautiful. Now, you mentioned about those three core values, and I truly believe in them because acceptance is how, what we are trying to communicate through these different sessions that we do. That as a community, we all need to know that we have a role to play. And the first step to that is let's become aware that, what does it mean to be on spectrum and how can I be of help as a community? And then you also mentioned about inclusion, as I was talking to you earlier, that it is such a, so badly beaten word that everybody is talking about inclusion, whether it is employer, equal opportunity employer, whether we do or not. We're still struggling to give equal package to, men, women, and otherwise. And then we talk about inclusion at work. So how you mentioned about how you practice inclusion, but what are your thoughts on what needs to be done? Because it is the idea of having these sessions with the senior mentor parents like you and everybody else who's coming on this platform is to understand how community needs to realize that they have a role and how can we be inclusive. So some thoughts on that.
So, inclusion, Shivali, is really a belief for me. For me, it's this. What shall I say? It's the attitude of everyone. I mean, we're a diverse universe. We're a diverse world. We're diverse communities. We have a lot of people. They may be below poverty line. They may be, just marginalized for many different reasons. For their gender, sexual orientation, they may be marginalized because they have no limbs, they have no, whatever it is. They've been acid attack survivors, or they've had leprosy in the past, or whatever. Jo bhi hai. They've had AIDS, maybe, and so on and so forth. And like that, disability, persons with disabilities are one of these categories, unfortunately, who are significantly marginalized. But it has to come from within. You have to believe, first of all, that it's everyone's right to be a part of the larger community. And that belief then drives, what you do and how you make it work. And so, as I said earlier, a lot of our work is strength based. Our individuals are able to work 10 and 12-hour shifts. We have that data. We demonstrate that in some of our work. And then meeting them and allowing them those opportunities, because we believe that if they can do it, we want to support them. That belief or that core value has to be within the individual and then larger within the organization. So it's the key management personnel, who have to believe that our company is going to, find ways to become diverse, to take in those marginalized people who don't get opportunities. And then we have to think outside the box to make it work. And so we've had some wonderful experiences with local partners. Soho House, for example, being one of them, we've just had so many rich conversations. The conversation hasn't been about, oh, so the person has autism. Is he, what do we do? What do we do for the autism? The conversation has been about, so you tell us what we can do to make the environment in a way that it is accessible, and then B, that we can use those individual strengths so that they work in this environment in a way that they are hardworking as well. We find the right opportunities, and it's a win-win for everybody. And I can't tell you how many times we've had conversations informally about how much those individuals bring to the table for the other so-called neurotypical staff. So it's, you have to open the doors, and you have to be willing, I can't say willing, but you have to believe that this is what our company or our, whatever it is, our enterprise is about. This is what we believe, and this is how we're going to create the opportunity within ourselves. Also, parents have to believe this. Unfortunately, we have in our country traditionally we've had a medical model of disability that's existed for decades in the country. So the focus has always been on what the person can't do. We need to collectively change our mindset and say, this is what we can do. This is what the person can do. He or she has got X, things that they can do. And how are we going to support them? The question has to be, how are we going to support them and be a successful team? So those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. But we have to believe. I can't tell you the number of times even in working in the US schools, it's not that, inclusion is by law, but unless the top management in the schools and the school system believes this, practices don't translate into reality in the classrooms.
Yeah, what you say, I truly agree with that. But somewhere I have, based on my limited experience of working with parents and young adults, a lot of times when we hide our kids within the walls, when we don't want to take them out, we don't want to even mention that there is one more person in their family who is on spectrum, who has some sort of a special need. We also, in a way, don't support the value of inclusion, because we don't allow the child to be out and open. We don't allow people to know. Like, for example, in my case, until the time that I wasn't aware that I also have a role to play. You know how when you are living your life in a certain manner and you're working towards those, trying to fit into those norms, and you're trying to lead your life the way that it is designed, like everybody is doing around you, and you're in the race and you're working towards it. And until the time that you realize that, hey, take a step back, you have a bigger role than what you think you're playing. So I have this feeling that when I became aware that I have a bigger role as a community, I also felt that there were a lot of times the door was shut on my face. That what would you understand? You don't even come from that background. You don't even, what would you understand because you have not experienced it, right? So my point there is that, how would I know unless you tell me? So on this platform, when you are here, I don't know if this sounds appropriate or not to even share that.
And yeah, well, respectfully, parents do the best they can. I
Yeah,
do believe that. Now, that the best they can is defined by, their situation. It's so individual, and it's so governed by their own, what shall I say, their values, their what they bring. For example, in a joint family, very often the mother-in-law or the matriarch or the patriarch of the family is largely the person who has the most say. So even if a young mother has a child with a disability, for example, and wants to follow what the doctors or therapists are advising her, there's a problem right there unless everyone else is on the same page. And the matriarch says, no, you have to feed your child till kingdom come. I mean, you have to, and what is this young mother going to do if there's somebody else above her telling her to do this? Whereas the therapist may be saying that, your child will go to school soon and really needs to be feeding him or herself, needs to be toilet trained, but there's somebody above you in the family who says, no, you need to do this for them, and continues to treat the person, as less than in some ways. So there's a lot of things that happen in individual families, and really, I mean, I would sort of, even in conversations, it is, I respect, where you're coming from and all the difficulties that you have in your personal lives. The end of the day, what is it? And we always at YCT veer the conversation around to what is it that this young adult wants from life? And how do we sort of help to make at least some of it happen? And so that conversation turns some families on their heads because they've never heard it like that before. And so it's a long journey, Shivali. It's not easy. There are so many layers. It's like unpeeling an onion and getting back down to the inside, the core. And that's what we endeavor to do, helping. But at the end of the day, it's that adult who is the most important person for us, which is, we know that he's going to bring. And I have myriads of stories
Mhm.
about, what we've unearthed about our young people who work with us and for us and we love.
Super. So within in that case, I would also request all of the people, because we all, together we make the community that we are today. That while we need to become aware of our roles, we also need to allow people to just be. Let them be the way that they are, and we accept them the way that they are with their abilities, and not look at what they're not able to do. You mentioned initially when we started this conversation that how you are so fascinated by mountains and you have always loved to climb them, and you do it now also. Now, this is part of your connecting with yourself, which, as I was telling, that it doesn't happen very frequently with everybody and anybody, and especially with parents. They don't really think of themselves as much as they need to. So, what would you advise, suggest, recommend on
So
self care?
yeah, I have been doing sort of workshops helping parents to figure out what next. Because the biggest question looming in parents' minds is what next? And that what next is, of course, very has to be practical as well. So in my particular case, I got a will in place, guardianship in place, bank account in place, figured out a pathway for Aarti to get all these kinds of supports that she needs. She tells me that she wants to live in her own home, so trying to help her be independent to be able to live in the home that we live in after me, and so on and so forth. And that's our journey and our pathway and our sort of goal. Now, that's one thing. So we as parents have to put those pieces, the financial planning has to be, right? Or we have to have a rich uncle somewhere who's going to leave everything to Aarti to
Okay.
do.
I'm
So
sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there is a comment in the chat in the live that your voice is not very audible. So if you could speak a little louder.
sorry.
Yeah,
I hope it's louder. I hope it's louder now.
I'm hoping.
I'll speak louder. So one of the things that we have to do is take care of the planning, the practical planning for the future. And the second piece of this is also taking care of ourselves to be able to effectively plan. And so that taking care piece, and when I go and do workshops and I ask, and if there's a group of parents, I'll ask them, when was the last time you and your husband, because they're typically mothers, went out by yourselves for a movie, a date, a walk? And the response I get is four or five hands out of, say, an audience of 30, 40. It's very minimal. And so just taking time out on a day-to-day basis for ourselves or on a weekly basis for ourselves, whatever that might be, putting our individual with disabilities who sometimes tires us out on the back burner. What is the worst case scenario? Take that time for whatever you like to do is something that is really important for ourselves. I find that when I am the most stressed, I go and walk on the beach because we happen to live close to the beach, which again helps me regroup and the answers come to whatever I'm stressed about. So this is really important for us. We are caregivers, yes. We are parents, yes. We have responsibilities, yes. But at the bottom of all this, we are human. And we do have our own anxieties and fears and worries. And that is human. There's nothing wrong with having that. There's nothing wrong with having a good cry. There's nothing, but we have to be aware of ourselves as humans and not be super moms or super dads or super anybody.
Wow. Right. So just allow yourself also to be, yeah. And it is important that you unwind. It is important that you find your own space to connect with yourself. Like I have always given this example, when you travel, even in the roadways, buses it used to say yatri apne saman ki suraksha swayam kare. On airplanes they would tell you that please put on the oxygen mask first on yourself. So there is nothing wrong looking after yourself. In fact, it will help you become a better parent when it comes to taking care of your children with or without special needs. Any message that you like to give to the community and parents who are watching or will be watching this episode later? How can Yash Charitable Trust be of help to them in their own journeys? And when they should reach out to you? What are those incidences where they should reach out to you?
It's as and when they want to consult with us. We are open, we are available, we have counselors, we have workshops also. We do a lot of this support, as our community reach out. So whenever there is a need, or just to come and have a look at what we do, we invite, because we're very open to better ideas, we're open to growing, we're open to collaborations, all of that, because at the end of the day we want to reach out to more adults and their families. So we're there. I mean, we're here.
Okay. I get messages that they're not able to hear you very clearly, very faintly, they're able to hear you. And I'm hoping that because most of the conversation is already done for today, but then requesting all the viewers to please visit the website, visit the Facebook page. The details are there already in this comment section, and we'll be placing more details in terms of email addresses in case if you need. any help that you need to support your child, you can reach out to them. And as Dr. Sushma said, that there is already a counseling, there is a center wherein the parents can also consult and they can be counseled along with the children, yes, smaller or young adults. So it is open and accessible for all to reach out to them. Please do not sit back, do not hold yourself back. Help is available. All you need to do is just to take that one step forward and connect with them. And I think it's wonderful to connect with you today, Dr. Sushma, because I have been, looking forward to interact with you. And finally, after some time of, being able to connect, now that you are there in US and when you're planning to come back to India, any big projects or any plans that you have when you come back?
So we are YCT is growing. We want to take the message of employment out to the community. So that is in the anvil. We also are supporting those individuals who need more support to be a part of YCT. So we're trying to expand our own supported employment within, and also help parents and families make informed choices. Can I just take this platform for one more thing that is on our list right now, which is that we have taken on the stem cell therapy lobby. I just want to tell parents who are out there and might be considering it that stem cell therapy has not been validated by the Indian Council of Medical Research as being a tried and tested treatment for autism. Autism has no cure, and stem cell therapy is not a cure for autism. So please, there's not enough time to go through why we were doing this, but it is not a valid treatment. Please consider all your options, consult your doctors and your therapists, and read what the current evidence is before you take a decision.
Wow,
Sorry,
I think
I had to put that in.
no, that is good, and you spoke it louder than usual because otherwise your voice was actually coming very feeble. So I hope that everybody has heard it right, and be informed. Like Dr. Sushma says, that you need to check all the options. And yes, there is no cure yet. There is no reason why we're able to pinpoint that this is the reason why the child has is on the spectrum. But when we identify that the child has the spectrum, there are ways to connect with the child and to help the child come up, do certain therapies with the child, support the child, understand the child, and just enjoy the journey with the community and allow community to be with you. And I would request the community also to know that you have a role to play bigger than what we all thought. So let's just come together, team up together, and work like Dr. Sushma says, that we need to accept each other and just move on, enjoy the journey that we are on. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all the beautiful insights that you shared. And looking forward to meet you sometime in person, maybe. So thank you, and have a beautiful
Definitely.
day. And
Thank you, Shivani.
to all the viewers who are watching, connected now or connecting later, Diwali is around the corner. We wish you a very, very happy, prosperous, and safe Diwali. Enjoy your time with the families. From the behalf of the entire Spectrum Autism team, this is Shivari. Thank you so much. Wishing you a happy Diwali. So, thank you and good night, everybody. Have a beautiful day, Dr. Sushma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.